in the nation, if not the world, women make up 4% of the CEOs. Women hold 19% of executive level jobs in our US Congress. Women hold 20% of elected positions. Even in female-dominated professions like education, we are outnumbered at the leadership level. I have never had a high school principal or an elementary school principal or a middle school principal of my kids be anything but a man. And when I looked it up, 30% of high school principals in the US are female.
After hearing this statistic, does it surprise you that women are outnumbered in leadership positions? We can see many women coming to the forefront in leader positions, such as RBG, whose one of his famous quotes is, "Fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you." We also see leaders like AOC, who has become forefront of political movements around the United States and shows how women in a position like this can change the world. And then you have author Glennon Doyle, whose book Untamed points out a very interesting aspect seen in children's lives about the difference between boys and girls. And I'm going to read that from you. Talking about shampoo bottles. It says, all bottles on the right side were red, white, and blue. All bottles on the left side were pink and purple. I picked up a red bottle from what was clearly my son's side. It was tall, rectangular, bulky. It yelled at me in bold red, white, and blue letters. 3 times bigger. Doesn't rob you of your dignity. Armor up and man scent. Drop kick dirt. Then slam order with a folding chair. I thought, what in the hell is my son taking a shower preparing for war in here? I picked up one of the girl's slim metallic pink bottles instead of barking marching orders at me. That bottle, in cursive, flowy font, whispered disconnected adjectives, alluring, radiant, gentle, pure, illuminating, enticing, touchable, light, creamy. Not a verb to be found, nothing to do here, just a list of things to be. I looked around for a moment to ensure that the shower was not, in fact, a magical portal that had somehow transported me back in time. Nope, there I was, in the 21st century, when boys are still being taught that real men are big, bold, violent, and vulnerable, disgusted by femininity, and responsible for conquering women in the world. When girls are still being taught that real women must be quiet, pretty, small, passive, and desirable, so they'll be worthy of being conquered. Here we all are. Our sons and daughters are still being shamed out of their full humanity before they even get dressed in the morning. Our children are too vast to fit themselves inside these rigid, massive produce bottles, but they'll lose themselves trying. So why is it that women are always put into these categories of one or the other? Let's look at the science.
So what fears do women face when it comes to leadership? Well, fears related to their identities, specifically stereotypes about what it is to be female and what it is to be a female leader. And for that, I turn to another science, social psychology, and the work of Dr. Claude Steele, who pioneered the study of stereotypes and their impact on performance. Stereotypes are mind models, they're generalizations, they're very negative typically. And what he found is that when someone with a stereotyped identity goes into a situation that brings that stereotype up, they experience incredible fear. It's called stereotype threat. It causes us to become hypervigilant, to second guess ourselves, to get stuck in our minds, and at worst, to choke. So what are the stereotypes that women are facing? That's a whole other TED Talk, but I'll just do a couple real quick. So the stereotypes about women are that they're not quite as intelligent as men, they're too emotional, too soft. The stereotypes about women leaders are on the other end of the spectrum. They're pushy, aggressive, or worse. You can't really win. So when you take this idea of leadership, for me to be a good leader, to be sort of masculine, I am a bad woman. And if I am a good woman, I am a bad leader. It is an impossible dilemma, and it causes enough fear in our brains for us to lead.
So it's very interesting that women are seen in this light so often, and that the leadership in the educational system is so vastly different in the statistics of women that have leadership positions. I find it interesting that the women that are in the leadership positions are often told that they're bossy and that they just bark decisions. Whereas, why can't it be that they are more of the relationship type and work towards becoming one as a team? So I wanted to bring in that women leadership with non-hierarchical structure of leadership. So in order to do that, education would really need to look at how some companies such as Facebook are doing it.
Facebook. Facebook is well known for its exceptional company culture and its unique approach to the flat organizational structure. Facebook believes its structural strategy helps to reduce the risks of an otherwise potentially stressful and competitive tech-focused environment. At the company, management and team leaders work in the very same open office space as other employees, including Mark Zuckerberg himself.
So here's my question. Why is it only possible to see this sort of innovation in these big companies when public education is supposed to be the start point of all of these big companies' employees? Using what I had, my past experience in the restaurant industry and those values and beliefs that the company works together better together as one, really made me think about how this could be put towards women in leadership and education. So upon hearing and researching how these Fortune 500 companies had so much success incorporating non-hierarchical organization, it led me to the Highlander Institute in Research Education. Their philosophy is that everyone is a teacher, everyone is a learner, and everyone contains with them the seed to make change. It is critical that those most affected by injustice should lead the work for creating change, and popular education should support that. Popular education and organizing are not separate processes, but together they express the action reflection cycle for social change. The part that speaks to me most is that it is critical that those most affected by injustice should lead the work for creating change. So we see that women in the past have had this injustice of not getting paid the same as men and not being treated the same as men just because they merely are in fact a woman. So why isn't it that women are at the forefront of that leadership change, and that by introducing that non-hierarchical organization where everyone is on the same level is also introduced into education?